Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Jenny. Mark, I've been seeing some fascinating local news cross my desk lately, and it involves something I didn't give much thought to before. Fire hydrants.
Oh man, fire hydrants. This is the cool part, Jenny. We're diving into some real essential infrastructure today with the Tri-Community Volunteer Fire Department in Marion County, Mississippi.
Right, so they're doing this apparently very important hydrant testing. I got a letter about it, and honestly my first thought was just, why? Why is fire hydrant testing such a big deal?
Okay, wait, let me get this straight. It's not just about making sure they work, although that's obviously crucial, right? It goes deeper. This testing is actually required by the Mississippi State Rating Bureau. And here's what's interesting. It directly impacts the fire district's insurance rating.
Insurance rating? So, our homeowners' insurance premiums are tied to how well the local fire hydrants are tested?
Exactly. Think about it this way. Insurance companies assess risk. A fire district with well-maintained, properly functioning hydrants is lower risk for potential large fire losses. That translates to potentially lower insurance costs, not just for people right in the district, but arguably even for residents just outside its boundaries. There's a financial incentive for good infrastructure.
Wow, that's a connection I hadn't made. I just pictured someone turning a valve. But the research mentions something about taking a gradual approach to opening and closing the hydrants. Why is that important?
Yes, the gradual opening and closing protocol. This is where the technical diligence comes in. So basically, in a water line, sediment settles over time. If you just blast a hydrant open, you create this sudden surge of water and pressure that stirs up all that sediment. That causes the water discoloration people might notice.
Okay, that makes sense. So the gradual method is to minimize the murky water?
Precisely. Tri-Community VFD, according to Lieutenant Shane Saucier, is using this careful method specifically to avoid stirring up resting sediment. It maintains water quality while still allowing them to get the critical data they need on flow capacity and pressure.
So it's a balance. Meet the regulatory requirement for the insurance rating, but also be mindful of the temporary impact on residents. That feels like good community engagement.
It is. And the communication they've done about it, sending out letters, explaining why times they're doing it this way, that's key. Because while discoloration is often harmless, it looks concerning, right?
Absolutely. Nobody wants to see brownish water coming out of their tap, even if it's just temporary. It raises questions.
Right. And the gradual method combined with transparency about the process helps build trust. It shows they're thinking about more than just checking a box for the rating bureau.
Speaking of checking boxes and regulations, the research mentioned mutual aid agreements. How does that tie into hydrant testing?
Oh man, mutual aid. This is another layer of resilience in the system. These are agreements between fire departments, even in different counties, like Jefferson Davis County bordering Marion. It means if Tri-Community is busy with extensive hydrant testing, or if an actual emergency happens while they're testing, neighboring departments can quickly step in and provide backup.
So it's about ensuring that even during planned maintenance, emergency response isn't compromised? That makes sense, especially in rural areas where resources might be spread thinner.
Exactly. Aaron Greer, the Marion County Fire Coordinator, pointed out how essential this interdepartmental cooperation is. It's not just about maintenance. It's a coordinated effort to help ensure overall community safety and stability, including those insurance ratings we talked about.
So to recap, hydrant testing is a mandatory regulatory process to maintain and potentially improve insurance ratings, which can potentially lower premiums. Tri-Community VFD is doing it carefully to minimize water discoloration, and they're coordinating with neighboring departments through mutual aid. It's more complex than just turning a valve for a few minutes.
Way more complex. It's a blend of technical engineering, regulatory compliance, community relations, and interagency logistics. And the data they collect from these tests, that's important for potentially demonstrating their system's reliability.
I can see how that data would be crucial for the Rating Bureau, providing detailed reports on water usage and system performance. It supports their claims of having a working system.
It does. And looking ahead, the research even touches on future possibilities, like integrating automated hydrant monitoring systems. Imagine sensors giving real-time data on flow and pressure, perhaps predicting issues before they happen. Potentially less manual testing, less potential for disruption, even consistent data for those ratings.
That sounds like a smart evolution of the process. fewer temporary inconveniences for residents, and potentially more consistent data for the fire department and the rating bureau. It feels like a possible, positive loop of improvement.
Precisely. It's infrastructure maintenance meeting technology and community needs. It's a forward-thinking approach to what might seem like a simple task.
Hearing you describe this, it makes me think about potential challenges too. Our research mentioned things like how burdensome this testing can be for small departments with limited volunteers. Is that something Tri-Community faces?
That's a fair point, Jenny. Looking at the general state of volunteer fire departments, especially in rural areas, resources are often stretched thin. It's easy to see how a mandate for annual testing could feel like a lot on top of emergency calls and regular training.
Right. And while the goal is lower insurance premiums, there's no universal guarantee every single resident sees that benefit equally, is there? Insurance models are complicated. They look at a lot more than just hydrants.
That's also accurate. While a good fire district rating is a significant factor, building materials, distance to the station, claims history, all those play a role. It's not a one-to-one correlation for everyone, even within the district. And residents just outside the test zones might feel a bit left out in that regard.
Yeah, it adds layers of complexity. And the idea of automated monitoring replacing manual testing? Pooh. It sounds good in theory, but the research points out the upfront cost of sensors and the needed IT maintenance. A hurdle, especially for a volunteer department.
Significant hurdle. Real-world adoption of that kind of tech is often slower in smaller communities because of budget and technical expertise constraints. So while it's an exciting future idea, maintaining those manual tests remains crucial for now.
It's been fascinating to learn how much goes into something as seemingly basic as hydrant testing, and how it ties into so many different aspects of community safety and economics, including these potential challenges and future possibilities. Thanks for breaking it down, Mark.
My pleasure, Jenny. It's another example of how these essential systems, even the ones we might not think about daily, impact our lives in real ways, and how dedicated folks like the volunteer firefighters in Marion County are working to keep their communities safe, navigating regulations and infrastructure needs.
Well said. And that's our dive into the world of fire hydrant testing for today. Thanks for listening. Maybe we can do a quick poll online for our listeners. How would you describe the communication from your local fire department regarding infrastructure updates like hydrant testing? Excellent, good, fair, or poor?
Oh, good idea. That would be interesting to see. We'll post that on our social media and maybe ask them if they experience discolored water during a scheduled test without a warning, what would they do first? Get some real-world feedback.
Perfect. We'll look forward to seeing the responses. See you next time.
See you next time.